because we're going to call on you to do a brief summary of O-Cademy, which is the next item on our agenda. Dr. Derrick and your team, please. Thank you. Over to you.
O-Cademy, make learning a journey to self-discovery. The best e-learning platform on the market, which is O-Cademy. Of course, yes, you have a lot of platform that is out there that is doing, but most of these platforms are, one, very expensive, two, and they don't offer any accredited programs. Let's look at Udacity quickly. Udacity courses 200 plus, and yet still we're talking about a starting of $399 a month, or just little under 2,000 for 4 months access to some courses. And yes, these courses are certificate, but no to accredited. So, you know, if you want bachelor's degree and, you know, all of those, you know, associate degrees and all of those things, no, they don't offer those things. Most definitely not. And so, of course, these are, you know, our products in blue, and these in blacks are the products that are out there. And so we are looking today at O-Cademy. What is O-Cademy? O-Cademy is a unified online course platform that offers exceptional leverage to learning and tutors access the world. Loaded with multiple features, this learning platform is equipped to give a few fantastic experience to every user. Furthermore, O-Cademy is an exponentially flexible and highly scalable product that enhances courses searchability according to the user requirement, smarter than the usual learning platform. One of those features, of course, it's multilingual. Can you imagine you are teaching in English and persons can actually hear in French, Latin, German, you name it, you know, approximately 120 different languages. Oh, mercy. Distraction detection, wherein if a student is not paying attention, there's an alert that is sent to the tutor, and the tutor would be able to say, John, pay attention. Awesome. One of the general rules about audio and video is that video gets processed slower than audio. And that is why we have so many issues with Zoom, because when we say something in Zoom, it takes a little while before you get it. And the main reason for that is because it is on the old multi-point control unit, MCU, coming from the days of the switchboard and the rotary telephone. That is where that system is coming from. So all they did is just upgrade it a little bit and put stuff on that same old MCU system, even our telephone, because even if someone is right there in the room with you and you were to call their cell phone number, which they are right there in the room with you, you call a number, the call is going to actually go to the nearest cell tower, and it is going to go through the MTSO and then come back to the nearest cell tower and then to the person's phone that is right next to you. So that is the old system. And so even when we upgraded, so to speak, to PBX and PSTN, which is the public switched telephone network, or the private branch exchange, or even when we went up to voice over internet protocol, it was still on the same old platform. So all of those phone system, which is Go to Connect and Magic Jack and Vonage and all of these phone system, they are still operating on the old platform. However, with OnPassive's O-Cademy, which will be also using the same one of the same platform in our ecosystem, which is O-Connect. It is using a technology which is known as WebRTC, which is a totally different. Just look at it this way. It's as if you buy a piece of property, you know, maybe 3 acres, but a little old house is on it. You just clean off the whole house and you just build from the ground up. That is what OnPassive is doing with all our products. We're not borrowing anything from anyone, none of the other technology, so to speak. We are building all our technology from the ground up. And so WebRTC, which is Web Real-Time Communications, that is the platform that we are using, and you are going to see the difference. The video quality is going to be different. The audio quality is going to be better. The video quality is going to be better. Everything, which of course will be run by AI, artificial intelligence, and it is just going to be awesome. And so therefore, let distance and age be no limitation. So there will be no limitations with distance, age, language, or anything, because O-Cademy is going to make learning a journey to self-discovery. I thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that quick update on O-Cademy, Dr. Derrick. I had no idea, you know, the way you connect things, it makes it look so vividly to anyone who does not have any background. And with that, I will say, all of us who are on this platform today or any other platform, without education, regardless of where it's coming from home, from your teachers, from your aunts and uncles or your neighbors, each and everyone has had to have some sort of education to get wherever we are. And you have that journey, only you alone know what journey you went through. And with that, I will say, I want to introduce to you, I'll officially introduce our one and only, the voice behind this person. And how humble is he? When I reached out to him and asked if he could speak to our team, he did not even think twice. He just said, yes. When do you need me? That is such a selfless person. We don't have many people like that. I have reached out to so many people, and I will say him, and maybe I reserve, just maybe, but it did not take him that long. A few minutes later, I got a response, I'm available. When? That's who he is. And please, I don't want to take too much of his time. I want to introduce to you our special presenter who has something very special to share with us, and he is Dr. Bill. Over to you, Dr. Bill.
Thank you, Debbie. Thank you, Dr. Derrick Clark. Shout out to my special friend, Dr. Warner, who's a dentist here in Atlanta watching today. Hello. I am blessed to be part of your outstanding team today, Dream Team special group. And I'm looking forward to sharing with you a few tidbits of information I have put together related to the topic that I was asked to speak on, O-Cademy, and how it relates to the Universal School of Health and the Top 100 Doctors movement. So I think there's a unique opportunity here between massive groups of people around the world. And so we'll go into something where I want to reveal to you some of the things that I think two of the world's most innovative minds have come together And when you see some of the things you might not have heard before, you will be totally amazed at the synchronicity that's happening in our world today around innovation. And we'll get into it right away here. You know, I'm a product of 20 years of education. I went through 1 through 12 high school, 4 years of college, 4 years of dental school before I could start work. And then what I found was when I got out of dental school, I thought I knew a lot, but I met friends who were dentists for 5 years, and I realized I didn't know as much as I needed to know. And so I said, it'll take me 5 years to get to where I really know something. After 5 years, I looked at my friends that had been in 5 years before me, and I said, they still know more than I do. And then it took 5 more years before I realized that I knew a lot by 10 years into my profession. And the reason I knew a lot more was because I was going to continuing education classes every other weekend for 10 years. I would spend 2 days a week in school for 10 years after I graduated as a doctor. And so the word is, I've been a student of continuing education all my life, and I have probably 5,000 hours of continuing education beyond my dental degree. And most of it I got sitting in classrooms in front of instructors. Sometimes I would, in the latter years, we started to get our online education. I started learning from people all over the world sitting at home. And I remember the very first time that I got into online education, we rented a hotel ballroom. 200 people got together and watched a satellite feed that cost $2,000 just for that ballroom, to feed into that ballroom. And this was a satellite feed going to the entire nation. And it cost tens of thousands of dollars to put this on at the source. And it took thousands of dollars per ballroom to outfit the entire process. And here we are today doing a webinar across the world that's costing us a few $100s. So there's a lot of innovation that's happened in the last 50, 40, 30, 20 years. So I want to go to a PowerPoint presentation and kind of lead you through some thoughts. And we'll talk about how the medical profession is looking at O-Cademy and how it's going to be able to help us in the long run gather more customers, because the medical profession is just another metaphor for the classroom. Every classroom is the same in that there are students and teachers, and we can put together a scenario where everything I'm talking about applies to you, your classroom, you teaching, wherever you are in any part of the world. So I'm going to share my screen, and it's so good to be with the Dream Team. Whoever invented the name Dream Team is right. You guys are all winners. It's a dream to be in OnPassive, right? It's the perfect vehicle for all of us to reach our goals. And our goals are very important to us. Each one of us has specific goals. And I joined it. And I remember the first time I did a video, it was seen by one of the leaders in OnPassive, and they called Ash up and they said, you need to look at this video that talks about OnPassive being an assist to your normal retirement, something that will be a benefit to the future. And this was right before the pandemic, right before everybody knew what was fixing to fall apart. And so it was providential that we talked about having an extra income that was available. And OnPassive will answer that question for a lot of people, I think. So let's go through and we'll see what we can figure out here as to what's important and what you want to know. What I'm going to reveal is to the whole world how Ash Farah and Kinor Shaw got together in Orlando, Florida, March 1st, 2021. We were bringing those two together. You know, I called Ash up and I said, I want to bring Kiana Shaw to meet you. And I want to talk about AI and disruptive technology and innovation. What you're doing, Ash, mirrors what Dr. Shaw's doing. And I'm a part of both, and I want you two to meet. And so we set up a time to get together, and we found that, yes, there was some collaboration that could be done together. And we sat down and talked for many hours, a whole afternoon. And then we decided, yes, we're going to move forward and do something together. So I want to speak about the OnPassive innovation curve. And this innovation curve is not new to OnPassive, but it's very relevant to OnPassive. My style of overlapping innovation curves is really what propelled our office, Swanee Dental Care in Atlanta metro area, to grow from 0 to $5 million in production in 10 years. Now, the average dental office does about 800,000 to $1 million in a year. So when we grew to 10 million, that was beyond normal. And there was a reason for that, I felt like, and we were uniquely prepared because we were looking at growth through innovation curves. And I bring up those curves because OnPassive has the exact same philosophy. And so does the medical model that Dr. Shaw's talking about. Now, if you're looking at the curve and you see innovator, you can relate to these in terms of who you are and who our customers will be. So let's look at the concept that if you add something valuable to your life, to your company, you're going to have potential increase. Okay. And so the innovators, this is you and your team. You know, you are an innovator by being a part of the OnPassive Founders Group. The people that envisioned it in the 2018, well, they're on the very tip of the beginning of that curve. And then a lot of us came along in 2019, 20, 21, and we're still innovators because we haven't launched yet. And so what comes after that are the pioneers. Our first customers, those that sign up next week, next month, whenever we start the launch process through the marketing campaigns, they are the adventurous with the high tolerance for risk. They may still be involved in the beta test. I know we are right now. They have high hopes that this new and exciting thing is going to turn out to be very exciting for them as far as income and the use of the tools. They do have fears, though. The innovation tax will happen to a lot of startups, right? The cost of being first sometimes leads to being a failure. But our focus is such that we want to only put something into the public realm when it's perfected. And so there's not much doubt that we're going to succeed. So our innovation tax is not going to be a severe tax. The only tax we have is on our time, our patience. We have to be patient until that point. So the whole thing is to keep the people that are pioneers focused. You have to tell them about the process. If you're talking to new people about OnPassive, you need to talk about the process, the breakthroughs, and the prototypes. What have we done that's been perfected to date? And what do we hope? And that's right what we are. We're giving webinars now on what are our prototypes. We haven't seen them yet. We've only heard about them. And so we talk about the breakthroughs that are to come, not that have already happened. The next group that comes in is where the money starts to ramping up in your bank accounts as a sales representative, as a person who is building teams, as a person who is a reseller, you might say. So those resellers that go out and start working are going to have massive growth, and it's going to be on the high end of that curve. The early mainstream people that you get to come in at this point, the customers you bring in, they'll be open to new ideas, but they're going to be a little more aware of the pitfalls because the products are going to already be seen. They will be actually great influencers to later buyers. The early adopters that come in during this early mainstream period will be called early adopters. And those people will be great for you to have on your team because they'll influence the majority of buyers that come in later. they have hopes that this is new, but it's tested. So they rely on the testing that was done by the pioneers and, of course, the innovators. They fear reputation damage if the thing develops and becomes a flop. But by the time we get to this point, we will have everything ironed out. And we have, less than 1% chance of anything that we produce failing. That's the beauty of the OnPassive system, where everything is done until it's perfected and then it's released. When we get to the late mainstream group, those people are the ones who want to buy the fully developed product off the shelf. It's an easy sell because they see it working, and there's a lot of social proof by other people that it's working. Now, the hopes of the people in the late mainstream area are that this is already ready and it's recommended for them, and there's no cost of disruption of their usual business. It's already going to fit in because it's already been tested, it's already been tried. So you have to tell people in this group that this is a niche market. It's something that it's ready for everybody in the market, not just the people that want to try something new that are early adopters. So if they feel comfortable, they'll buy. And so as we get moving on our curve, it gets easier and easier to sell. And that's the good news. And when you finally get to the tradition, that means that OnPassive is considered a household name. That means that people go to the online store and they pick the thing that they're most familiar with, which would be OnPassive. And that's where Ash is really pointing us towards, is the fact that we become the household name with a few great products. He releases O-Cademy, he releases O-Connect, and he shows people that these are innovative, disruptive, and then they go into the market and say, what else have you got? I'm going to buy it because I know you already produce great tools, great software, and good platforms for my business. So that's the whole story of innovation platforms. And you really need to understand that the buyers that come in are coming in with a specific mindset. And so you can't sell traditional people early. You can't sell mainstream people very early. And you have to tailor your pull to pull in people to their mindset. So understanding mindset is really the key to sales when you're talking about gathering customers and then turning them into resellers. So that's a good starting point. Ash says how you do anything is how you do everything. If we look at the excellence that's put into the products, we'll be very patient because we know that we will not have that failure mentality once we launch something because it's already proven to work before we launch. We're going to get more value than any company in history. And you already know how many products, and he said there is a group of products called physical products that are going to far outnumber the digital products, which means that the bulk of our income potentially could come not just from the ecosystem itself of digital products, but it could come from the physical products. And that's a major change from 2 years ago. And everybody didn't know that back then, but they know it now. And so it should be exciting for everyone listening to know that we have an unlimited source of products to sell, not just a few things that you've heard of. And it's all based on bringing something to the market that's better. I really liked what Dr. Derrick said about WebRTC and how it's different and it's more intelligent. It's a smarter service. And if we have every product that is as groundbreaking as O-Connect and O-Cademy, then we're going to be in the catbird seat, the best place to be. Let us talk about what makes OnPassive so attractive to outsiders and why do they want to come in? Why do they want to choose us? Well, it's because of the added value of OnPassive, AI and learning, machine learning. And when we talk about that, that brings us into the realm of adding AI to business where it's not already been added. And what business am I in? Of course, healthcare. And I was fortunate to be selected as one of the top 100 doctors a few years ago. And the nomination process is that anybody can nominate a doctor, and anybody can be chosen, but they have to go through the nomination process and be selected by the panel. Okay. And so what happens is every year there's a new group of doctors chosen for that honor. And so over a period of time, these doctors have gotten together and come together as a group, and they want to change the world of medicine, and they want to see it be more patient-centered and get away from the corporate control. And so we have a mass of people that are moving towards a philosophy of change. And it's the same as Ash has about ending the corruption in the business world, ending the corruption in government. We want to end the corruption that's in the insurance industry and the medical hospital industry. We want to give the control back to the doctors to give them patient care decision-making power. Right now, it's been stripped away. And so a lot of that is the force behind what we're doing with trying to get O-Cademy into our doctors group. We've been giving webinars over the past couple of years. You may have heard us talk on Comfort, her podcast, or maybe working with Gershminder and his group, Sampat Patel and Sampa Gupta. All these folks have hosted us to talk about O-Cademy and its impact on these different spheres of influence, as we call it. Now, I want to report to you that our group is not just made up of dentists. It's not made up of just physicians. It's made up of 6 different disciplines. The pharmacists have joined us. The osteopathic physicians have joined us, chiropractic physicians, optometry, and also psychiatrists, psychologists, philosophers. So we have a group of people who've come together under the banner of healthcare. It's not just doctors of medicine. And I'm reporting to you today, if you may not know it, we have a new OnPassive doctor, one of the leadership council members from a year ago, Dr. Idris Modi. And I nominated him to be a member of the top 100, and he got selected to be in the top 100 class in 2022. So this year we honor Dr. Modi has joined the group, and it's exciting to see our own doctors. We have about 20 doctors in OnPassive that I know of who are part of the OnPassive top doctors group. And so we keep honoring them. One of the things we're trying to do in this arena is create a school, universal school of health, that brings all the disciplines together to train them to be better businessmen and women, to be better physicians, to deal straight with the public and try to cut out much of the middleman obstruction, all the insurance obstruction, all the medical equipment obstruction, everything that goes against direct patient care, doctor to patient. That's what we're trying to eliminate. And we're trying to streamline and reduce the cost, bring medicine to the places that they need it without having to have such a bottleneck. And there's a lot of bottlenecks, as you know, around the world. So we're trying that, and that's one of our goals. We have a leadership team, and Dr. Emily Latran is part of OnPassive as a founder and is the dean of the School of Universal Health. And she has some specific requirements of the learning platform that we want to use. And I want to mention those to you. It may be that we have answered every need in O-Cademy. So one of the things that we need to have is 4 things that we list out. We want it to be accessible on demand at the student's pace, so that students all around the world can take this course of being a better doctor. This particular group of doctors, the Universal School of Health, is the first curricula that they're going to put together is for doctors that have already graduated to become better able to run their clinics. Because right now, a lot of doctors work in a hospital or they work for somebody else, and they don't have control. And so we're going to teach them to be able to run their clinics more effectively. So we want it to be accessible on demand. We want interactive and collaborative learning experiences. We want the entire Universal School of Health degree course programs to be fully online, so there's no travel. So people don't have to go to a classroom and sit in a building away from their home, sometimes having to travel overseas, paying the huge cost of travel. You know, it costs more to travel and stay in a hotel than it does to take a course sometimes when you're doing these continuing education classes. And I know because I did it for 20 years. I went somewhere every week or two, and I would fly in, stay 2 days, 3 days, 4 days in a hotel and have to eat out and have to travel in an airplane almost always. Sometimes I would drive 5 hours in a car, and it was always expensive. And so we want to have online, no travel experiences. And finally, technology and integration of software. We want everything to come together as one seamless software to run the whole thing. OnPassive does a great job with that. That's our strength, and we're looking forward to that. So the question I always ask is, when's the last time you missed an opportunity of a lifetime? We often see things in a different light, and we can pass on good information to other groups. And that's what we've done with OnPassive and the Universal School of Health. We saw excellence in 2 places, and we brought them together. And one of the biggest benefits to a group that a leader can have is to be a connector. If you can bring together people of like mind with talent, then you can plus everything so much faster. And I think of a good example is Muhammad Kamal. He seems to have come into OnPassive as a founder, and then he morphed into the COO in Dubai because he had ideas related to something that was very valuable to OnPassive. And so the connection of 2 important people came together. And I think all throughout OnPassive, we have those kinds of connections being made. Ash recognizes those. He met with Dr. Shaw. He met with Kamal. He met with a lot of people over the years, and he's put together the team. And the team, it grows. And as we get more and more into the time where we go past the initial startup, then those important meetings that happened in the last year will start to bear fruit. And so that's what we're talking about today is, what are the fruits that are going to come from bringing together the Universal School of Health, the doctors all around the world? I'm talking about there may be a couple of 100,000 doctors already involved in this Universal School of Health top 100 doctor. Hundreds of thousands of doctors are participating in the education process already. And you know how many doctors that would be in 200 countries? That's a lot. So that's a base, and we look for bases that we can bring in. One good news is that OnPassive has been granted the seal of acceptance by the Hippocratic oath seal of the Universal School of Health. So they've already been assessed to be a reputable, good company. And that means that they can do business together. And that's a very solid plus. Only companies that have been given that seal of approval can do business with the Universal School of Health. Now we're gathering, the doctors of the world are gathering in Sardinia, Italy next year. And so I'm just telling you that OnPassive will be uniting with people of substance and vision. And we want to make sure that everybody's aware that they can nominate somebody to be in the doctor's top 100 group. If you have doctors that you think are worthy in your area, those who have high reputation, who are contributing, who are doing something positive. And maybe we'll see them in Italy next summer. As we transition over into talking more in detail about O-Cademy, the remaking of the digital planet is essentially what we want to do in education. We want to bring O-Cademy into the front line of the game changing for education. We want it to be the main one that people look to. And so we can bring order into the system with O-Cademy. So, you know, that the current system as it is, it's universities, it's colleges, it's classrooms that we sit in front of instructors drawing on a board. That's something that we're used to. We've done it, but there's been a change. There's chaos that has come into the world through COVID and the pandemic. What I saw as a young student was I had to put out a lot of effort and a lot of money to gain knowledge. Well, when we got shut in at home, that opportunity went away for many people. And if we hadn't had the systems starting to be developed like Zoom and WebEx and whatnot, we would not have been able to do these projected meetings. But we did fortunately have the ability by this time to do the projected meetings. And so that technology has been increasing year after year. But what we do know that there are restrictions on the ability for everybody in the world to access these systems. They cost a lot. They're not universally available. There are limitations in how long the free ones will go and how many people can be on a free thing. You've got to start paying $100, $500, $1,000 to have a sizable audience. And so what we want is to have an organized, complete online system, which is what O-Cademy is. So what we're going to be doing now is sharing the answer to the problems. If we can have the answers to the problems, that means we're going to meet the needs of the people and that they will become customers of this solution. They will become resellers of this solution if they really want to benefit themselves with an income in additions. So that's important as we go forward, knowing that answers to problems lead to solutions that include having a second income for a family. There are only, 1/2 or 1% of companies that offer a solution like that. We are the pioneer in that area, that we can have solution A and solution B. Does O-Cademy provide the answer? That's the question. Does O-Cademy provide the answer? What we ask of the dean of the School of Universal Health, she asked the question, does your product meet these criteria? So you be the judge. You look at what we do. Can we adjust our viewing of the timeline? Is it available on demand? Or do you have to show up when it's live? Well, we already know the answer to that. We can actually go in and have a flexibility that's built in. We can allow the access to the learner anytime they want it, not just when the teacher gives the class. It can be recorded and saved and viewed later. But if they want to be interactive, they can view it live. And when there's interactivity, there's many more options. So the courses will be many and varied. We'll have thousands of courses just in the medical area alone. We'll have tens of thousands of courses available from 6 different disciplines. And so if you look at the field of engineering, the field of artificial intelligence, there's tens of thousands of courses in those fields. What if you get into what Ash wants, is to have a public education for the lower grades, first grade through high school, and then into the technical area. If you look at the things that they could put courses on there could be hundreds of thousands of courses available on O-Cademy, and people can search through them. They can find exactly what they want. They can take the courses and they can schedule them when they want. They could be in one class at 2:00 in the morning if they want to, and it doesn't matter because it's recorded. So these things are what we're looking for in a platform. I think the majority of people would get the most out of a live class when you're interacting one-on-one with an instructor, so you can have the time to ask questions. Just like you do a live webinar here with OnPassive, you get the most when you're looking directly and you can ask questions, you can be in the chat room, and you can see people's faces and you can ask questions, but that's not always easy. It's not always possible. But what we do is we have the ability to upload videos, and most of the doctors out there, when they teach, a lot of them have prepared videos that they want to upload. And so they will put the course together once and play it 10 times, 20 times, 30 times a month. And so they don't have to spend all their time teaching the same course over and over. That's one of the things I found. I taught one course in orthodontics and TMJ head and neck pain. And I taught for 5 years that one course for the same institute, 2 days every month for 5 years. I went all over the country teaching the same course, saying the same thing every time. And that was very inefficient. If I could have put it on video once and then replayed it, that would have given 100 times, maybe 1,000 times more people the chance to see it, because it didn't have to travel to a specific location on a specific day. If it was uploaded in a video, they could have watched it anytime, right? And so the tutors can upload their videos, the students can access them at any time. That opens up learning all across the globe. And better than anything, when I say across the globe, it means the future of OnPassive is that we're going to have our websites in every language. So you can actually read it in your own language, not have to learn English first. And that's a major benefit for people that don't learn English from the ground up. Not only that, but the lectures will be translated simultaneously in multiple languages with our advanced learning system. And that's going to be probably the one thing that breaks open the door to us being the most popular product out there. When we could do this successfully, then we can teach any language to any other language. That's groundbreaking. Nobody does that. And so I'm looking forward to that being where I can teach somebody my lecture, and it'll be heard in Mandarin or Japanese or Hindi or some other language. That's going to be an exciting day for instructors, and probably a much more exciting day for students. Of course, the best language learning platforms will be interactive, where we can go in and draw and create things and have students participate. I might ask a question, you might answer. And it would be not only just in voice, but on writing on the same board. These things will just take us into another level. When we have distraction, detection, it's going to remind me of something that happened when I was teaching in Denver, Colorado. I was sitting there giving a lecture that was quite boring, actually, and I've been going on for hours because I would teach about 16 hours in 2 days. And I know my voice gets old after 16 hours. And so I would have people sleeping in the corner, and I didn't have a way to wake them up unless I threw an eraser over on and bounce it off their heads, right? So I didn't want to do that. But distraction detection could be very useful for us to wake people up if they're dozing off, or at least we would understand that maybe we're boring and we need to perk it up. We need to change our voice inflection. We need to raise our hands and jump around and get people to stand up and maybe do some interactive motion exercise, which, a good speaker will do that. They'll get people up from their seats on a regular basis and have them do something that causes them to move. Raise their hand, stand up if you believe this, something that's physical and gets their attention. And so we need to have that availability even on a video when you're doing distance learning. We can analyze everything. We have this sentience now that's been talked about, where it understands your emotions. And so if you have an angry crowd that you're speaking to, they're not going to be learning, right? If they're joyous, they're going to be having a good time. They're going to learn better. So you'll have that information at your fingertips as you're speaking if you're an instructor. And that's going to make things very fun for the instructors to understand their audience and where the audience is along the way. Now, there's always trouble with problems with setup and how to fix this and how to log in. And sometimes we need chat support, and it's going to be immediate 24/7. And we're going to have backup with voice in the background. And so everything is going to be helpful with the OnPassive techniques. And it'll allow us to work from home much easier. If you're an instructor, you don't have to travel around the world. I really like to talk about income potential for people who teach, because I've been a teacher for over 35 years, and it was always my secondary income to practicing dentistry. I always enjoyed multiple sources of income. I enjoyed diversity in interaction with people. And, you know, we always said that a dentist has got golden handcuffs holding them down to the chair to make their income. Unless you go out and create something additional, you always were losing money if you left your office. And so I chose to do hobbies that created an income. And so my hobby was creating webinars and creating slideshows and traveling to teach. And I would get to travel to Toronto and to Calgary and Italy, Japan, different places around the world. And when I taught, sometimes I went for free, sometimes I got expenses only. And every now and then I would get an honorarium, which would be a small amount of money to travel. But it was never as much as I made in my practice. So I would eventually be losing money anytime I taught. But now with O-Cademy and the video content that we could put into our data bank and keep it there and sell it to people on a as they want it basis, then we'll be able to have residual income coming in, having taught once, recorded it, and let it be played multiple times. So for instructors, that's a major benefit. And if we could upload 20 videos of our best course material, and somewhere around the world, somebody wants to learn how to do what we used to call the 90-second crown prep. If it takes most dentists 5 minutes to prepare a crown and you could do it in 90 seconds, do you think doctors would like to learn that technique? Do you think that patients would like to have their tooth drilled on for 5 minutes or 90 seconds? See, there's advantages to being fast and efficient as a dentist. And that's what I used to teach, was efficiency techniques that would allow faster, easier, safer treatments for patients. And so those kind of things are what you can put up online, and people will just rush to get the knowledge. In every field of dentistry, medicine, optometry, every field of engineering has those same step-saving techniques that you can do faster, better, and safer. So if you were a student, how would you like to start taking a class and put to use what you learn and start making money? And by the time you finished your 2 or 3 years of study, not have any debt because you were making money as you were working through your classwork. And especially with OnPassive, that's going to be a gem, because as you create usage of OnPassive, you're going to get people to join by the viral nature. They're going to become customers of yours, and they're going to become resellers of yours, and they're going to actually set up a residual income for you as you go to school. Now, that's going to be a major benefit. You can get a lifetime residual income just from taking classes if you're a member of OnPassive. You have to teach people how to do that, though. It's not going to happen just automatically. You have to break the ice and say, okay, you're a customer, but if you would like to be making money as a customer, you have to invite 2 or 3 other people in to view it. And then if they like it, then you'll start getting your cost of OnPassive paid for. And then if it keeps growing, you'll get an income. So that's how it's going to happen. So to review, we're going to be in over 108 languages. We're going to have classes that are available one-on-one, just you in a private meeting. You know, my daughter-in-law is a psychologist, and she counsels people every day, about 6 to 8 people every day in Africa, Middle East, Europe, and United States. She does it from Atlanta, Georgia. She counsels people one-on-one through the medium of Zoom. But as soon as we release O-Connect, there's a really good chance that she can migrate everybody over to O-Connect, and an OnPassive membership will happen for many of them because they like what they see. And when they like what they see, they're going to all become her customers. And then she'll become paid for the counseling, and she'll also get a residual income from their membership in OnPassive. And so you can see how that benefits even the one-on-one teachers. But if you teach one-to-many, and we have over 315 people, when I started talking just now, I could be talking to 315 people on any subject, and each one of them, if they logged in for the first time to O-Cademy or O-Connect to hear what I was saying, each one of those logging in would become my customer for life if they had never been in OnPassive before. So this is the way it works, and this is the OnPassive advantage. So we have built-in payment systems. We have category-wise filtration where you can study and find out the details about a course before you go into it. And for the instructors, you can upload everything all at once, and you have a lot of adjustment on how you can listen. You can speed it up, slow it down. The worldwide growth in online instruction is going to grow bigger and bigger. In last year, it was about $250 billion, and it'll grow up to $1 trillion within 3 or 4 years as we get more and more advanced. With OnPassive being the main program, I think that people will go to, we'll reach the $1 trillion mark worldwide in that industry. We'll be the one that probably has the biggest market share if we look at what's possible. We have many doctors who are coming on board. One of our newest doctors also is Albana from Albania. And she is a lady that I did a podcast with. She joined OnPassive. She joined the doctors group with Dr. Shaw. And so it's word of mouth, it's sharing. And as you become a teacher, you share. And so everyone who is a teacher really is an important person. And so we want people that are teaching to really know that they're valued. And if you are a teacher, we value what you do to contribute to society. And we want to give you a way to express yourself. And we want you not to be at the control always of the administration, of the bureaucrats, of the government, those people that would hold you back. We want to give you the freedom. And so the thing about it is, if you become a teacher in O-Cademy with OnPassive as your backup, you can lead the untethered life. The untethered life is one with total freedom. Ash talked about CATMO TF, total time freedom, total money freedom. The untethered life means that you're not tied down to any one thing or place, and that you have the freedom to do the things you'd like to do. So we want to give your learning a new beginning, and we want to help you master skills as students that give you an endless repertoire of courses to take. And today really is the first day of the rest of your life. We want to give your learning a new beginning. As we said, what do you want to become? If you think about it, what is it that you're missing? What do you want to become in life? In our land of OnPassive, the land of abundance, I think anything's possible. But if you're going to have anything new in your life, you have to add things to what you already know. And so education is one of the keys to that creation and achievement of that abundance. So with that, I want to go back to you, Dr. Derrick and Debbie, and all the fine folks at the Dream Team, and we can have more fun together.
Wow, wow, wow. Dr. Bill, I have to say, I'm doing my student teacher thing by clapping. Thank you so much. You started your presentation when we had 315 guests and now we're almost 400.